Hello and welcome to this week's YouTube video. Today we are going over 3 of Han's best games since he has returned to chess.com, which was just a few days ago. He posted a video onto Twitter, which is now known as X, and it was quite interesting to say the least. Go watch that on X. It's pretty easy to find as trending. But yeah, essentially everything is fine between chess.com, Magnus, Hikaru, and Hans and whatever. But yeah, he's still denying the cheating allegations, which is fine. Yeah, obviously since chess.com is allowing Hans back onto their platform, the cheating thing is kind of blown over. So yeah, essentially Hans didn't cheat is the current verdict. So yeah, I'm gonna go along with that. And yeah, so we're gonna go over 3 games. One is against Nihal, one is against Michenek, and one is against world champion Vladimir Kramnik. So first game is against Nihal. They're playing Blitz and Hans has the white pieces. We start off with a d4 and yeah, very normal opening and but a little bit weird. Queen's Gambit accepted, not too common. And we have e4 and yeah, not gonna dwell on the opening too much. I don't really know this opening that well. So I'm just going to kind of zoom through it a little and get into the middle game where things get a little bit more interesting. So knight to e2, a little bit interesting. I don't know these systems, but I guess knight e2 is where you place your knight. Maybe you want to go to f4 or g3. So we see bishop to g4 and we see f3. Now this is very Hans style. He has like this Hans has this unconventional style that just some of his moves seems weird. Now, that has nothing to do with cheating, by the way. I just want to clear that up. Nothing to do with cheating. His moves are just a unique style that is quite aggressive and quite challenging to deal with, especially in quick time controls. He likes to play like G4 systems with the Jobava London, that kind of style. Bishop back, and yeah, we develop, and now we finally castle. And yeah, this pawn on f3 actually isn't that weird. In fact, it kind of makes sense now that your knight is on e2 because you just play f3 and this bishop is kind of locked out of the position. And yeah, it's not really doing too much. We see knight to b4 by Nihal, and yeah, preserve the bishop pair, obviously very grandmaster thing to do. And we see knight to d5. Very nice maneuver by Nihal here, positioning the knight onto a better square, attacking the bishop and attacking the knight as well. So we can trade if we see fit. But for now, we're going to improve our bishop and bring it back. And yeah, just bring our rook to c1. Nothing too complicated here. If takes, we still recapture with the knight, so no big problem there with our f-pawn getting doubled. Yeah, a3, preventing any knight back to b4 or bishop to b4 shenanigans. And rook to c8, preferring maybe c5. Very interesting game so far. I think it's been very controlled relatively. And yeah, we just trade the bishop and put our knight on e4 now. Another very interesting transformation. I mean, very positional chess at the moment. Trading pieces to get your other pieces to better squares. Very interesting ideas there. Knight back to d7. I don't particularly understand this move, where like for the placement of the knight, but if you think in terms of what black wants to do, he probably wants to be playing c5, chipping away at white's center. So we see b4 again, trying to stop c5. Yeah, just pure prophylaxis here by Hans. c6, and we are repositioning our other knight now. Maybe we want to bring it to c5. Yeah, knight takes and rook takes. We don't want to take our knight off of the nice e4 square. And we see knight to b6. Maybe in the future you want to put it on c4 and support it with b5, or maybe even you can go to a4. Kind of unknown right now. Yeah, queen d2. Maybe you want to bring it over to f4 and start an attack over here. A bit speculative. Knight to d5, hitting the rook, you have to move it. Knight, rook to b3, and we go queen b6. Now, we're just going to kind of start going through the game a little bit faster. There's a lot of shuffling that goes around here. Yeah, nothing really super interesting going on. And now is where the tactics kind of start flying. Bishop takes, rook takes, and yeah, start trading a little bit. Yeah, double attack the rook, so now you're kind of forcing the rook to do something. Rook takes, queen takes. Knight to d5, and again, queen up to this d2 square. I'm guessing you want to stop any like queen b2 check in the future, so now you can move your rook. Now we see f4, very aggressive move. Sorry, f5, and bishop to f6. Now, maybe you're allowing some knight g4 tactics in the future, who knows? Maybe you can stop this pawn from being able to take it. Yeah, rook to b1, able to move the rook now, and you simply just move your king here, no reason you can't. And yeah, this is where you start seeing this kind of weird forking tactic maybe being able to work in the future. But now we see g4, and that's shut down. So now, yeah, we're just going to try and trade queens. Our knight is, or Nihal's knight is very, very good here. So trading would probably not be the most optimal in the current position, but I mean, Hans just allows it anyways. b5, and now we're opening up the c file for our rook, and this is where tactics start to fly. Apparently bishop e5 wins here, which is crazy. I'm guessing that's the idea. Yeah, bishop to e3 doesn't work, even though it does look like a fork. The reason it doesn't work is because queen b8 check, and unfortunately for Nihal, this will lead to a very unfortunate mating net. So king to h7 and rook to e1, attacking the bishop, and now we can just take the bishop, because if queen takes, then you have knight g5. If you take, you just up a queen, so big whoop. But king h6, only move, and queen to h1, checkmate, which is why in the game queen f1 happened, king h2, and Nihal resigned. On to our next game, which actually has quite a funny ending, if I do say so myself. Yeah, start off with d4 again, and we start with d5 as black. And yeah, the opening, we're just going to kind of zoom through it. Nothing too special going on here. Yeah, just very, very normal setup. And yeah, once we start getting to the middle game right around here, yeah, right here is where we get into the middle game. And yeah, this is interesting positional, because you're going to play d4, knight back to e6, and now play c5, and a very nice pawn chain in the center. And this bishop is kind of looking at nothing, and your bishop is staring at the e4 weakness. So yeah, knight back to e2, attacking the pawn, and you can simply protect it by going knight back, what you want to do anyways. Knight comes to f4, and now you just take, and play c5. This is your entire idea. Your king side is now, it is good. The g file is open, which you have to actually watch out for, because there's some pawn storm coming maybe. But your pawn structure is better, your center is bigger, and I would argue that your bishop is actually more active than this one. So yeah, queen comes to g3, very logical, coming to attack the king when the king side is open like this. G file for white is open. So yeah, queen to e7, want to activate your rooks. And yeah, now, by the way, f6, he said is forced here. I was watching the stream when this game was happening. So yeah, he said f6 was forced. I don't know why. Also, I didn't know why takes, and takes was bad. I don't know why this is bad, because it looks like you're just kind of getting in, undoubling your pawns. I don't know why that's bad. I don't know why that didn't happen. Anyways, we see e6 here, and king to h8, getting out of the pin. So maybe you can take and open up your own g file. But yeah, we see queen to f4, and we open up our own g file now. So yeah, e takes f5, and we see rook to g8. Now we start our own attack. The bishop is open, the rook is pinning it, and yeah, now we have our own very nice attack here. We see f3, getting out of this attack on the bishop by protecting the f pawn with the queen. And yeah, we see queen g7, putting more pressure on the bishop, threatening maiden 1, so you have to fix that with rook to d2. And now we see queen to g5. Now the reason you play this move, trading queens when you're attacking, generally something you want to do, is because queen takes g5, rook takes g5, and you are winning one of these pawns. That's the idea. If f4, then whoa, f4 is actually kind of crazy, because that fixes white's problem. Anyways, but his entire idea was to win the f-pawn, but it doesn't work as f4, apparently. But we see rook to e1 here. This actually happened, and bishop takes f3 because of the pin, so can't take that back. We see e7 now, and now we see rook to e8, and yeah, this is kind of where the game starts to go into its finishing phase. Going to zoom through it a little bit. We see rook to f2 here. And here I saw a tactic, but I don't think he saw this too, but for some reason he didn't go for it, because I saw him draw the arrows. But I saw bishop takes h2. If rook takes, then you just go here and you're completely fine. Yeah, if rook takes, then you have bishop h3 skewering the rooks, and you have a massive advantage in terms of pawns. So I didn't quite see why Hans didn't go for this, but instead he went for a more calm move, bishop to g4. Not really going into any forcing lines here, and yeah, takes, and we go into this line. The game's gonna come to an end really quick here with rook to e3, check, king goes to e1, and now we push d3. Now the reason this is so strong is actually revealed on the next move. After rook takes e5, we can sacrifice the rook with rook takes f1, check. And in this position, Michenek resigned. And the funny part about this is Hans tried a rematch, but Michenek actually blocked him after this game, which is funny because they were actually playing quite a long match of like 10 plus games. So yeah. He got blocked after this game, which was a little bit funny. Yeah, on to the next game, and our final game against Vladimir Kramnik, former world champion. e4, and we go with e5. Now, I'm just going to go through the opening real quick. It's a Berlin defense, boring, and you see some theory. I don't know theory here, so I can't really explain it. Takes, and yeah. I think this is supposed to be like a forced draw, but they don't go for the forced draw. And then, so all this stuff happens. This is probably like still theory of some sort, because the Berlin is very old opening at this point. See f4, and we're actually in an endgame at this point. So maneuvering going on. And I actually found this a very interesting choice, since Vladimir Kramnik's endgames are like legendary. Yeah. Daniel Naroditsky has a lot of trouble in endgames against Vladimir because he's just an absolute monster in endgames. I mean, it's what he's known for. Yeah, rook to d8, and again, we're going into an endgame against Vladimir, which is insane. Yeah, the reason, by the way, they have 2.5 or 2:54 minutes still is because it's 3+2. Vladimir only likes increment. He doesn't like no increment chess because flagging, I don't know. He has something against flagging. Bishop to f2. And we see h4, and yeah, trading down into like an even simpler endgame is something Vladimir will just do if he thinks it's good. It's a draw here by force, but yeah, it's still quite a long game to go. Rook d2, and we see king to c6, trying to slowly advance, just very slowly. Maybe you're playing b5 later on. Maybe I could honestly not tell you. I don't know endgames nearly as well as these guys. See a4, shutting down any b5, so that's why we go king it back to b7, and we're going to either go c6 or king to c8 and rook to d8. So we see king e3, advancing the king, very principled. We see rook to h5. I don't know what this does. I think he wants to play g5. That's what I would gather from that move. Yeah, we see king to c8, logical move. Knight comes to g5, and yeah. By the way, I don't know why this doesn't win a pawn. Bishop takes h4, and rook to h5. Okay, well, I guess don't listen to me. Yeah, we see f6, pawn break in the center. Very logical move. Takes, and obviously bishop takes. You have the bishop pair, and now we can exploit it with a more open board. So this transformation seems like it helped black. Knight comes to e4, and we give a check with bishop to d4, preserving the bishop pair for now. King goes to f3. That was the only logical move, and rook comes back to h8, maneuvering over to one of these open files. We're allowing the trade of bishops, but it's fine since it undoubles our c pawns. So yeah, knight comes back to g5, and we go back to f6, and Vladimir's rook comes to d2, cutting off our king from coming more into the game. So yeah, we see bishop back to d7, again allowing our king to maybe come into the game at some point. King to d8, and bishop comes to e3, and yeah, we're just going to kind of zoom through this. It's an endgame. Yeah, not too much to explain here. And yeah, Hans actually ends up getting a winning endgame against Vladimir here, which is honestly beyond me. I mean, he's an absolute monster in endgames. By the way, here, very tricky move. He's threatening to take, and take, or take, and he wins a pawn, which is a threat, obviously. So yeah, bishop takes f6, that's why that happened. Takes, and this is worse for white very clearly because your knight is just so restricted by black's pawns. Knight h4, the only advancing move with your knight, and yeah, it's just all futile because you're just going to push a4. Your knight is so far away, it cannot stop this pawn, so you have to try and stop it with your king, or push your own pawns with g4, but this loses because of an absolutely crazy move. Bishop e4, check. That's an insane move. If takes, nothing can stop the pawn from promoting. And if you don't do that, like let's say king c3, you just go c6 and b5. And you can't stop these pawns. And essentially the bishop is just absolutely dominating this knight. Your knight literally can't move at all except to f5, but that loses because now your pawns are double, then you can't do anything and you just king walk over. Yeah, we see g5, sorry for the lightened board, g5, and takes, and yeah, your knight can't move, you can bring your king over, and that's why after g6, king to f6, Vladimir Kramnik resigned. So yeah, absolutely amazing games by Hans. I mean, he's definitely in form. He's a super GM, so it makes sense why he's beating these very strong players and why he's obviously a 3,000 plus Blitz player, because he has 2,700 FIDE, or I don't even know his actual rating anymore. I just know he's above 2,700. He's in the top 100 at least. I don't know rankings. You know the rankings, cool. But yeah, I know he's above 2,700, which puts him in the Super GM club. But yeah, he played absolutely amazing games. Props to him. Welcome back to chess.com. He's been playing a lot on chess.com. He's been streaming almost every day now. So obviously he enjoys being back on this platform. And yeah, he's been playing some really good chess and just showing people what they've been missing. Yeah, if you like this week's YouTube video, don't forget to leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and as always, I will see you in next week's YouTube video.